And if the answer is yes, yeah, I mean, you're going to be charged with a criminal offense.
We're the Armed Attorneys. Today we're talking about a defensive incident involving a child and some attacking dogs. Kind of break down this video a little bit, talk about the law involved, and where the video and the actors involved fall a little bit short. But before we begin, show your support for the Second Amendment by hitting that like button. And we got this video from the folks over at Reddit on firearms in a post entitled, New Reason to Carry People Buy Big Dogs to Be Cool and Then Refuse to Train Them. So from this video, Emily, what's the first thing, when people talk about defense against dogs, is that generally allowed?
Yeah, and my general takeaway is, it's always good to have your handgun when you need it, right? Because we don't have a crystal ball to know when there are going to be dogs attacking a small child.
Yeah, two Rottweilers out of control.
Right, exactly. So it's always good to carry every single day for instances just as this. And most states will allow you to shoot attacking dogs, whether it be by something called defensive necessity, which I believe we've done videos on in the past.
Yeah, we'll link that in the description below.
Or by actual statutory authorization. Lots of states actually contemplate it in their law and say, if a dog is attacking a human, you can dispatch said dog essentially to save the human life.
Yeah, and I'd say at a minimum, what we also see is a defense to prosecution for cruelty to animals. Let's say there is no statutory defense saying, hey, you are allowed to stop an attacking dog under these circumstances. We usually see something on the back end that says, hey, this is not cruelty to animals, if you happen to be acting in defense, if that makes sense.
So, I think that's step one, is that, yeah, this is generally allowed. However, watching this video gave me a lot of heartburn because there's just a lot that it was maybe not done that well here, that legally, I'm watching this video and I'm imagining all of the criminal and the civil fallout that could come from what they did.
Yeah, and the first thing that really jumps out to us, so let's say apart from, and this is where these dog cases come up, and we've talked about it, that in the 5 most common self-defense incidents that we see as practitioners, number 2 is attacking dogs and using self-defense in response to attacking dogs, also linked in the description below. But where I think a lot of people don't understand is, while maybe shooting the dog would be justified, there are so many other crimes that police officers and prosecutors seem to tag on to these offenses because they happen in city centers.
Exactly right. I have had a client charged with a felony offense for shooting at a dog because the dog happened to be standing in front of a grocery store, right? And so that's an issue we have here. If you watch, they're actually discharging towards mom and child as well as dog. And it does not appear to me that there's a lot of careful aim going on, which is a little bit scary, although, had the desired effect, right? Child is safe, dogs are scared off. But just right off the top of my head, whatever offense your state's going to charge for discharging towards a human being, whether it be some sort of aggravated assault, deadly conduct,
discharging towards a building, discharging across a roadway, discharging in a municipality.
That's another one. Virtually every state will legislate at some level discharging in sort of busy city centers, which this appears to be.
I think the other important part that comes up, and a lot of people forget about self-defense, and this is in most states, having surveyed virtually every single state's self-defense law, is you sometimes lose self-defense if you act recklessly. And so this is one of those illustrations where, let's say, mom had been struck or a child had been struck. Would he be able to say, hey, I was acting in self-defense of the mom and child, and I was attempting to dispatch these dogs? Would he be allowed to raise that defensive claim? I think they might be able to allege recklessness.
Yeah, that's the problem, is should one of these human beings or a different human being be injured or killed, what was your mental state, right, when you actually pulled the trigger? Was it reckless as to the lives of the humans involved? And if the answer is yes, you're going to be charged with a criminal offense, and self-defense is not necessarily going to apply.
And the definition of recklessness depends on the state, but generally what we're talking about is being aware of some substantial and unjustifiable risk, and regardless of knowing that risk, taking that action. And so
the classic example being drunk driving and hitting a person in
Right.
hurting a person, right? You didn't get into your car drunk in order to hurt another human being. And yet, when you got behind the wheel drunk, you knew that there was a likelihood that you could hurt someone.
Yep.
And yet you disregarded that likelihood and you did, you carried out the action anyway.
But I will say, I mean, credit to the self-defender and the defense, going to the defense of a third person, because it appears that everything turned out all right in this case. Everyone is safe. It had the desired, effect. And, at the end of the day, self-defense is such a calculated decision, and this happened in a matter of seconds. And so saying, hey, did he have time to calculate and know that this risk existed and disregard it? I don't know that we have enough time to do that.
Yeah. And just, I think our takeaway here is, not only be cautious, but also think these situations through ahead of time. That's really the only thing we can do to prepare is to say, okay, were I in such a situation, what would I do and what would my limitations be, and just try to talk yourself through it, because in the moment it is really difficult.
Yeah, and we'll link those 2 videos at the very end. We'll have them on 2 cards. One, dog attacks. We got a video just for that. You won't want to miss it. And the 5 most common self-defense scenarios, dog attacks being one of them. And so you got to check both of those videos out. But we hope you enjoyed this discussion. If you did, consider subscribing, hitting that like button, and help us fight the anti-2A algorithm by sharing this video.
And as always, please continue to question and comment below. Until next time, we're the Armed Attorneys.